Good day, everyone, and welcome to Getting Real with Paula. My name is Paula Alphonse, and this week we are looking at how can we bring greater productivity and manage our mental health while working from home. This is a topic that is very personal to me as I am seeing too many people struggling to juggle this current reality we live in. Thanks to COVID 19, we have gone virtual overnight, and this trend is not likely to change in the foreseeable future. Sorry for those of you who were hoping everything would go back to normal come September or November or whatever. It's not coming anytime soon. So, how do we make sense of the new normal? In my personal vision of what working from home would have looked like before COVID, the kids were all gone all day. Had a brand new redesigned office. I had the house to myself, and I could listen to my favorite jazz channel all day. Unfortunately, life is not exactly like that. This dream vision that I might have had, or you might have had, does not actually match our respective reality. So here I am with my guest, Naomi Bambara, trying to help make a tasty lemonade rather than testy with the cards we have been dealt. What I have not yet mentioned is the reason why I picked Naomi for this conversation. She is by far the most effective remote worker that I've ever met. And on top of it, she always, and you'll see it too, she always has a smile on her face, regardless of what her day could have been. Honestly, I would say I just feel so much peaceful every time I speak to her. So, Naomi, can you please introduce yourself and tell us what your current reality is in terms of working from home and how has the pandemic impacted you work-wise?
Hmm. Hi, everyone, and thank you, Paula, for such a nice and kind introduction. Well,
Oh,
yes, I thought you
so
were
you
going to
can
say,
go ahead.
okay. So, how has the pandemic affected my life? I would say in a very positive way. I know this may sound weird, but I have to say the truth. It has impacted me in such a positive way, and for so many reasons. Connection. I have been able to be in touch with people that matter the most on a regular basis more than ever before. I was too busy to call, I was too busy to connect, I was too busy to see people. Now I just have to connect on the internet and I see them on Zoom, on WhatsApp. I just have to call. So I am of that small minority that will say that the pandemic has had a positive impact. Thank you to the universe, to God, because I have not been sick. Members in my family members, some have been sick and they have recovered, so I am glad. In terms of work, though, it has also been a positive change, I will say. I used to work from home already. I was already working 2, 3 days per week, but
Mhm.
I knew that I was going back to the office. So my day at home was my productivity day anyway. And the day at the office was there for me to meet with people, which was not as productive as I would have liked it to be. So, pandemic wise, health wise, family wise, communication and connection wise, I'm on the good side of the pandemic. I don't know if that's okay, but that's my reality. I'm not going to lie and say that it sucks because it doesn't.
I find it interesting what you're saying because I was speaking with one of my daughters who's also working from home, and she told me recently that she feels that since she started working from home, she feels a little more savage in terms of interaction with people because it feels as though uh, the polite correctness is no longer
Hmm.
happening as normal as it could have been.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
we're adjusting as best we can do.
Yes.
And I have to say, fantastic that you were one of those people who were able to actually make it happen for you and have be able to still be productive. If
Yes.
I was to ask you,
Mhm.
what does a regular day looks like for you when working from home? Do you have a
Mm.
routine that you follow? What's your secret recipe?
Oh, wow. I do have a routine. And it's interesting that you asked because I was at the physio today and
Mhm,
she mentioned something that a word that I haven't heard for a long time: discipline. She was talking about her choice to not send her kids back and leave
mhm,
them at home with their dad who is working from home. And I said, is he going to be able to manage? She said, of course, he will discipline them. And I said, thank you very much. It's a word that has disappeared but that I love. And I have this sense of self-discipline. So I
mhm.
usually wake up around 5, 5:30, depending on how late I went to bed. I I exercise, I shower, and then I get dressed. Yes, I get dressed. I will not come downstairs to the office in my pajamas. It's not
Okay.
going to happen. So I get dressed. I wear very little makeup, just lipstick most of the time, but I look sharp. I come downstairs and I join a prayer meeting from 7 to 8. I start my day in the company of people who ground themselves in the Word of God, in praying. We end the prayer by blessing each other. So I
Mhm.
start my work day at 8, and I know I have received guidance, I have received uh, um, blessings and direction for the day. Then I make it a point to get up, actually stand up and walk around the house for 5 minutes every hour just to get my blood circulating again. If I
Mhm.
need to go to the washrooms, I go upstairs. I don't go on the ground floor.
Ah,
And
okay.
what I have done also, I used to have my office upstairs. So upstairs was okay for every other day when I was working from home.
Mhm.
But to work 5 days a week, I said, I'm not going to be confined into a room.
Okay.
I brought my office to the ground floor. So I'm in my living room. The kitchen is here. So from time to time, family members come, say hi, they go back to what they have to do.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
regularly, I get up and I walk. I also exercise throughout the day. My lunch
Mhm.
half an hour. I go for a walk or I walk upstairs in front of the TV. Since the office is empty, I have a
Ah.
TV and I have a YouTube channel that I like to follow. It's Leslie. I can never say her name, Sanson. And I walk. I just walk
Mhm.
15, 20, 25 minutes. And I've increased my steps from 250 to 10,000. I take 10,000 steps every day. Some days
Yeah.
I'm tired. I said, okay, Naomi, it's not a big deal. It's not a competition. But it's just that I have established a routine that
Mhm.
helps me remain sane. I eat
Yeah.
better. I exercise. I sleep like a baby. I'm in paradise. If you ask me, I'm loving it.
Okay. I'm hearing in your conversation, and for those of you who are also listening, there are a few keywords that I heard: structure,
Mhm,
routine,
mhm.
exercise.
Yes, yes,
And I'll start with the routine from the perspective that our brain needs routine in
yes,
order for us to be effective,
yes.
productive. And this is where the brain doesn't like it when I don't know what's going to come, what's happening, what's not happening. So it's the predictability. So routine gives you a bit of that. So
Yeah.
having a plan for your day and going back every single day to do the same things about the same time helps you get that sense of routine and not feel like, oh, I feel so flushed, I'm rushing, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, and it's not working.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be rigid,
No,
but it should give a sense of what the flow of the day should look like. Is
yeah.
that what you
It's
were
not
saying?
rigid at all because sometimes I forget to get up and go to and take and walk, and sometimes I really have to go to the washrooms because I've been holding it for so long. I go right here. So it's not a regiment that is a military obligation. You do this or you die. No, it's just that Monday to Friday I am at work from 8 to 4. Before 8, I'm free to do whatever I want. After 8, I am free. But from 8 to 4, my employer owns me. And for me to be productive and give my employer what he expects of me, I need this discipline in my routine. Now, Saturday, I don't wake up at 5:30 to exercise. Sunday, no. And the reason I can be free to stay in my pajamas all day on Saturday or Sunday if I wanted
Mhm.
to, right?
Yeah.
But during the week, I choose not to. I choose to tell my brain. I even have two desks. I have this desk that I'm using now for personal business, my Zoom meetings, my friendship, my social life. And behind me, I have my office desk. So when I'm here, I'm usually standing and doing things that I enjoy doing. And then during the week, when I'm
Okay.
at work, I'm just behind here and I'm at work. So I've really separated my work
Okay.
and life so that it's a clear delineation and I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing it.
And I like that from the perspective that in your brain, there's a sense of separation
Yes.
between what is work time and what is home personal time. And
Yes.
it's important when the reality is now both of them coexist in that same space. So,
Yes.
how do I make myself, or I let myself understand now this is what we're doing? Because one of the challenge would be distractions. I'm at home, the TV's over there, the snack bar is over here, and then I'm thinking, the neighbors are laughing, I wonder if. So this is where the discipline comes into play. How do I
Yes.
keep myself on the task while still
Mhm.
getting a sense of flow, still getting a sense of I'm able to function and not tied to my chair?
Yes,
Another
definitely.
question for you. Could
Hmm.
you give me a sense of some of the inheritance that might have arisen for you while working from home?
Of course, life is not perfect. I wish it were, but it is not. I had two reasons to choose. I had two opportunities to choose. The
Okay.
first one was my ergonomic chair. I was told you cannot have it. And since you used to work from home 2 or 3 days already, why would you need it now? Okay. The second was I needed a larger screen that you can see here behind me, but I was told you cannot have it. We know that you need it to do your work, but we cannot buy it for you and you cannot take it from the office. I decided to choose peace. I choose my buttons, not
Mm,
one that I wanted to inch in. So what did I do about the chair? Oh, the reason I needed my chair is because when I was before COVID, I used to go for massage every other week or sometimes every week. So whatever the sitting was doing for me, massage would undo it. And I just
mhm.
was just able to function. But going 3, 4 months without a massage, it was difficult. So that's
Okay.
where I decided to exercise more and to get up. I have a timer. It's there. I have a timer, so I set it. So I hear it, and every 60 minutes, it rings. I get up and I walk. It helps. I learned a long time ago that motion was lotion to my
Mhm.
young joints, right? So that's how I
Okay.
solved the ergonomic chair. I still don't have it, but I'm not in pain anymore. The screen, I decided that I wanted peace. I just went out and I bought myself a beautiful curved screen. Came home
Mhm.
the following day. I informed my boss that I had bought one. She said, "Oh, I can reimburse you." I said, "Well, if you reimburse me, does it mean that it belongs to my employer?" She said, "Yes." I said, "No, thank you." I treated myself. Why? I didn't want to have a headache every evening. I made that choice not to be angry, not to be mad, just not to have a headache every night. That's it. I bought peace. I bought well being. And that's it. I'm happy. So my two irritants were solved and I'm back to being happy.
I find the elements you brought very interesting because maybe not everybody would have had the financial, how could I say, space to go
Mm-hmm.
purchase new equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's figuring out how do I manage the reality. There are certain things we can do that belongs to us, and where you are able to do it, I would say I love your the way you presented it from the perspective that you chose peace.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have to do this work for a longer period at home, I would
Mm-hmm.
strongly recommend to everyone to start looking at what brings me peace and how
Mm-hmm.
could I have more of it within my
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
I'm also getting the sense, and please let me know if I'm mistaken or not. Is it possible that you are an introvert?
Oh, what are you talking about? I am
Right.
100% an introvert.
And
So,
that,
yes. And so for me, peace is one of the most, in fact, my middle name is Irene, and Irene means peace. That's how much peace is important to me.
Mhm,
And a screen, it's not that costly. $150 sometimes on sale. So for me, it's never the price, it's the benefit and the
yeah.
trouble that I am saving myself from. So that's a very easy mathematic for me to do.
Mhm,
$150, okay, mine was a little more expensive, but it was my treat. But if I come back to $150, $200,
mhm,
no headaches, because
yeah.
headaches mean medication. I'm not having a good time. My family's not having. This is
Mhm,
too heavy for just a
mhm,
monitor. I can't control my boss, and I don't even want to. And because I don't know her circumstances, I'm not going to be a
mhm,
problem for her. So when the
yeah.
opportunity comes, she will not be a problem for me either because she'll remember that I bought peace, right?
Yeah.
So it's never about the money because whenever we want the money, we can find it. I can save on something else. But my health is so important to my well-being. I am not going to sacrifice that. There's no need to.
And by the way, those of you who are looking at this show, you're seeing me smiling widely. It's just that, as I said, every single time I speak to Naomi, she has a way of making things so simple that you're wondering, why did I spend so much time thinking about how do we do this? Should I do that? Should this? It's as she says, most of us. And I'm not going to speak to everybody because I don't know everybody's reality. The information that we get is that during COVID time, shopping, online shopping has gone exponentially.
Yes.
So for those of you that are struggling is working from home and struggling sometimes with those conversation with my employer that doesn't seem to get that I need XYZ to do the work, then how do I choose peace? So rather than have this new KitchenAid appliance, maybe I
Mhm.
could go get my flat screen or curved screen that will allow me to do the work, still maintain employment, and still have the sense that I'm doing the job that I'm expected to do. And what I'm hearing behind what you're saying, Naomi, is the element of boundaries.
Mhm. Yes.
And a lot of people are seeing boundaries as things that we put in front of us to prevent people from getting into our space. But
Mhm.
boundaries are also clarifying for yourself what are those limits, what are those things that you need in order to be not only functional but happy in that reality. So
Yeah.
choosing peace is actually choosing you
Yeah.
rather than choosing the other person that keeps controlling me or making me feel a certain way because they're not hearing what my needs or what my how could I say my wishes could be.
Mhm.
So this is woo, you are dropping nuggets. I'm telling you, my friend, I am so blessed already by what you have said. What I would
Thank you.
say as well is that boundaries are crucial in preventing
Mhm.
mental health issues, and that
Yeah.
includes burnout in your life. And
Yeah.
I see people trying to do the work, do everything that is expected when the deadlines have not gotten shorter or when the equipment might not be
Mhm.
what I need to do the job. And there are
Mhm.
certain things that are within your control, but there are certain things that are not. So for those things that you can actually control, it's important for you to set your personal boundaries because
Yes.
that will allow you to have healthier relationship with others. So whether it's a boundary with your employer or whether it's the boundary with your spouse or your kids. So if I tell my kids that between this time and this time the door is closed, you cannot enter,
Mm.
this is one way of letting you know, okay, something is happening. This is what I'm expecting you to respect, and how do we work with this? Because with the blurred line, uh, I have to figure out how do I find my own well-being within that structure. Thank you so much for
Yes.
mentioning that. So, what would be for you
Mhm.
mechanisms
Mhm.
mechanism that you put in place to address your own health and well-being while working from home?
Well, I pray. I would say like in the movie, but I have four: pray, eat, walk, and love. And it's about praying. Praying, as I said, it grounds me in my day. I know that because I'm a believer, I know that God is watching over me. So, with that knowledge, that conviction, that faith, I know that everything is going to be taken care of. Someone bigger than me is in charge. So
Mhm,
I know I just have to do my part and the rest was unfold. So that gives me such a peace of mind.
mhm,
It's that's 90% of my day being taken care of. The
yeah,
10% is my responsibility. So I eat, I walk, and I love. So eat properly. I was blessed enough to start a diet before COVID. Oh, I'm so grateful because I have lost weight instead of gaining weight. And with the eating better, I started exercising more, which is fabulous. I already spoke about that.
mhm,
Let's talk about love, starting with me. If I don't love me enough to choose me, nobody's going to be able to do that. So that's something I learned a long time ago. And
mhm,
pandemic has given me an opportunity to see if I really love Naomi. And I really do love Naomi. So I take good care of Naomi at the spiritual, social, professional, family, all levels, my body, my
mhm,
mind, my soul. I take care of Naomi. And because I am able to take care of myself and love myself, I can love others. And I need others. Even though I cannot touch them, I need to be in touch. I think you and I, Paula, speak at least twice a week. We see each other at different meetings, and I see my friends more now during this pandemic
mhm,
and post pandemic than before because I am taking the time to love. Same thing with family. We created a chat on WhatsApp and we
mhm,
were talking all day long, exchanging jokes and talking about important things, but we are connected. So, praying, eating well, walking more, and loving myself and others have been the key for me to remain healthy in my mind, in my body, in my soul, and in my spirit.
See, I am not there yet. I have to say, I had to practice, and they say practice makes for better. Practice what I preach from a perspective, knowing my limits and then respecting my own limits.
Mhm.
Because sometimes, in wanting to do too much too fast for too many people, I end up stretching myself where it's not warranted. And sometimes it might feel like I'm a bit resentful because now I'm tired, I'm aching, I'm this, I'm that. But if I had just communicated my boundaries, then maybe there would not have been challenge. So, in terms of mechanism within your current reality, communication is at the top
Yes.
of your how could I say, should be at the top of your priority. And it's communicating your needs, communicating your limits to your household, your colleagues, as well as your employer.
Mhm.
And taking regular breaks, because some people have told me they're afraid to leave their computer because some colleague might call in for a quick meeting, or my boss might. It's like, yeah, no, work life balance, take a break,
Mhm.
because your brain needs a break.
Yes.
And taking regular break and physically stepping out of the work area, whether it's going to sit with the kids, have a bit of a snuggle, play a little bit of a board game, and then going back to work, or even better yet, go for a walk,
Yes.
complete change of scenery. And
Yes.
this is the part where those are within our means. We don't have
Yes.
to wait for somebody to give us permission.
Yeah.
Reality is, for most of the articles and most of the reviews and research I've seen, most people work longer and more intensely from
Mhm.
home than they do when they
Mhm.
were at work. So, which means you are, even though it might feel as though I might not be pulling my weight, you are stretching yourself. Sometimes it's for the good reason, sometimes it comes with a price. So, how do you figure out for you what's important? And we have to look at it not just from it's due by the end of the day, but from the perspective, can I function like this for an extended period? If not, then
Mhm.
create stress for me.
Yes.
So, to you, Naomi, what tips would you give to help create a productive work environment at home?
If I
Because I
if I
know
may,
you not only being a manager, but you also have been an employee. So, what are those things you would suggest?
before I speak about tips, I'd like to speak to a point that we didn't mention. It's consequences. Boundaries are meaningful when there are consequences, and
Okay.
consequences are just the natural unfolding of things based on the decision I make. So if I am overworked because the priorities are all over the place, I will communicate
Mhm.
that information to my boss and say, the consequence of me doing all this is that this may not get done, this may not get done, this may not get done. And people usually understand consequences, and it helps them make a decision now so that this consequence may never happen.
Yeah.
So that's a very important point. And so another point of a reason why I do not work overtime, like almost never. If I do have to work overtime, I take my time back always. Why? Because of consequences. If I work longer hours, I'm stealing from my own family. I'm stealing from my own time, for my own well being. And as a consequence, I might get sick. Who's going to pay the price for that? Me. So it's not happening. It's simply not. There's no. The consequences make it not worthy. It's not happening. If there's a serious reason for me to work overtime, I will, but it is exceptional.
Mhm.
And not again to be flexible, but still very respectful of myself. So in terms of tips, be kind to yourself. I love me, so I'm very kind to me. So whenever things, life is unfolding, I always notice that this make Naomi feel good, that this make Naomi feel loved. Do I feel safe? Do I feel at ease? Am I comfortable? Yes, okay, keep going. If not, I need to stop and figure out what's going on, because I will always go back to peace. I know peace. So the contrast is only for me to assess. I am at peace. Am I at peace or not? If I'm not at peace, I have a very, 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 very small tolerance for disturbance. And it can happen, but I will always stop and fix it and come back to peace. If it takes a day, it will take a day, but it will come back to peace always, because it's my threshold. Be kind to yourself. Also, focus on what matters most. Choose your battles. Sometimes the kitchen is right here. Someone comes and they're talking on the phone. I just take my headset, plug it in, and continue. I don't need to fight with them. Maybe this is important and I have an option. I learned a long time ago that between two people, the person who has the most options is the person that will always win, in the sense that I'll get what I want, which is my peace. Simple as that. And ground yourself in something bigger. For me, it's God, it's the Bible, it's praying, it's meditating the word of God. What is it for you? What is that thing that is bigger, that makes you feel at peace? Ground yourself in that thing, because you'll feel, if that thing is unshakable, then you are unshakable. For me, God is unshakable, so I don't have a problem in life. Life is good. And finally, last tip, stay connected. People love you. A lot of people love you. I hope anyway that you know that a lot of people love you. So connect with them and savor that love, that tender connection. It's important. So those are the things that I do. I'm kind to myself. I focus on what matters most. I ground myself in God, and I stay connected to people who love me and who I love. People like Paula.
I love it. I love it. I love it. What you actually speaking to is what I call self care,
Hmm.
which is paying attention to me
Yes.
and ensuring that I have what it is to coexist in that environment.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it's the sense that sometimes we get so busy with the work, so busy with the daily activities, the kids, the cooking, the that, that we forget to just
Yes.
anchor ourselves, seek
Yeah.
peace within, and
Mhm.
then move forward. And
Yeah.
that's the bigger piece. So we
Yeah.
can give you a bunch of tips, because I have a few tips I can give you. But at the core of it,
Mhm.
there's you. If you don't pay attention to you, none of the other things are gonna matter.
No.
So some of the tips I could give you in terms of creating a productive work environment: have a
Mhm.
routine and
Yes.
keep a daily checklist. It's
Mhm.
easier to see what I might be missing or what is for me to do when I have a list of it.
Mhm.
Keep your workspace uncluttered,
Yes.
because I remember my mom saying that if your room is all a mess, that means your brain is a mess too. So keep that workplace uncluttered, so that you can actually work through whatever it is that you're meant to do without feeling that I'm all over the place.
Mhm.
We suggest as well that the room you're in should be properly ventilated, because guess what? If it's like being in a car for an extended period of time, the windows are up, it's hot in the car, I fall asleep. That's what happens when there's not enough fresh air going in. So pay attention to that. Manage distractions and interruptions. And sometimes it comes back to you. Those little instruments that we have all over the place, put it
Yes.
away. Whether
Yes.
it's me being pulled from my work by a little beep from my social media, or whether it's the noise around you, get what it is you need. The earplugs, the put away the phones, put a busy signal on your door so that the kids don't come in. Step
Yes.
out from fresh air, and I would say multiple times a day, not just once.
Mm-hmm.
That helps you clear your mind, and at the same time it works off some of those food that we've been cooking all during COVID. And the
Yeah.
last one, and that's really from what Naomi has mentioned in the beginning, ensure that you have the proper technology and
Mm-hmm.
equipment to do the work, because otherwise your body is gonna let you know this ain't working for me.
Yeah.
So how do we figure it out?
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you liked what you've heard so far, because I told you she's the best remote worker that I've ever met. And her sense of peace is such that I know I call her when things get on my very last nerve. She knows that. It's just, okay, girl, you don't know what just happened. And she just be the one who goes, oh, interesting. Is there another way of looking at it? And I'm like, so yeah, have a support system. That would be the last one I would
Yeah.
mention. Have a support system so
Mm-hmm.
that whatever could have created an irritant for you, how can I pull out of it as quickly? Keyword I would remember from this segment is peace within.
Yes.
And funny because we didn't discuss that at all. I started thinking about you, and the word that came to mind for me was peace. And then you mentioned those are some of your tips.
Yes.
So, Naomi, if there was one key message you would
Mm.
want to leave with your listeners, what would it
One key message: take care of yourself, take time for yourself. It requires discipline, yes, and we're not used to even hearing the word discipline, but all that it means is really discipleship, which means controlling your own behavior. It starts here. You control, just control you, and the rest will just take care of itself. And I'd like to finish with a quote. It's by Gary Ryan Blair, and I really like it because it says self discipline is an act of cultivation. It requires you to connect today's actions to tomorrow's results. There's a season for sowing and a season for reaping. Self discipline helps you know which is which.
Huh. Okay.
Mhm,
I like.
mhm.
I like.
It's
We
see,
have, yeah, we have one more thing in common, which is my key message would
yeah,
have is actually it starts with you.
yes,
Whatever needs to change, it
yes,
has to start with you.
it does.
Don't wait for other people to notice,
Mm-mm.
to pay attention, or to read your mind, because guess what?
It
They're
and
busy with their own stuff. So while they're there, they're not remembering, they're not acknowledging, they're not communicating, they're not seeing maybe what's happening on your side. So starts with you. Figure out what's happening under the hood
Mhm.
before it spills over.
Yes,
Because I don't want any other person feeling, how could I say, depressed,
mm.
burnout, or even unaccomplished from the sense that I can never seem to do XYZ. Maybe the goals that have been put onto you, maybe your expectations of what
Mhm.
you're meant to do are something to be looked into.
Mhm.
Because guess what? If you are someone who is in this situation that you're working from home, you have the kids, the husband, the in laws, or whoever else is around, and you're still able to do the work, that means you can do the work. But I
Yeah.
might have to look at how do I manage or how do I rejig the environment so that I can do my best work and not feel as though I'm failing. Because one of the
Yes.
biggest challenge right now is that there's quite a few people that are feeling that they're actually not meeting expectations. And
Yes.
sometimes the expectations, the higher expectations come from us, not from the others.
Yes.
So I would say we are done for this segment. Thank you
Nice.
very, very, very much, Naomi, for this conversation. I will tell you, my audience, if you liked her, put a lot of likes so that we know, because she could be coming back for the conversation in how to bring peace within, because I'm a little too hyper still. I can never seem to get it totally right, at least not as she does it. So right now, Naomi is my peace guru. Thank you, Naomi, for being here with
Oh,
us.
thank you so much, Paula. I love you. God bless you and God keep you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Pleasure.